All right, you ready?
Yep, let's do it.
All right, let's do it. Real quick, everybody, thank you so much for tuning into the podcast. And the only way this grows is through you. So if you ever got any value out of any of our podcasts, it would mean the world to me if you shared this with a friend or took a second to leave us a review, not just for me, but because it might give someone else the knowledge, the motivation that they need to dial in their fitness journey. Thank you so much for you and your support. And welcome back to Fact Mentality. And today we have Will on the podcast. Will, so good to have you. We've had Ryan on the podcast, and now it's your turn, my man.
Yeah, very excited.
How you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing great.
So we just wrapped up Wadapalooza, and we just started training again. You're going to be registered for the Miami qualifiers. How's your body feeling after completing Wadapalooza?
I was actually really surprised how not sore I was. There was more of a mental nervous system fatigue, so it kind of felt like I was hungover the next day. But my body was really good, acclimated to all the endurance and all the things we developed over the months of training for it. So the next day was actually, I kind of felt like getting back into the gym. I did take a day off, but I was back in on Tuesday doing the same normal thing.
Nice.
So it was kind of one of those things where I was ready for whatever they threw at me, and then my body kind of held up with it through the entire time. So
Nice. I love it. Well, I can't wait to hear about your entire journey leading up to that, and we'll rewind a little bit to get to know you. But yeah, so Will's on the podcast today. We'll be learning about him, his fitness journey, everything he did leading up to Wadapalooza with Ryan that he was partnered with. And if you haven't listened to Ryan's podcast, please tune into that one. That was awesome as well. So let's get right into it, my man. Let's do it. First question. So let's kind of start from the beginning, and then we'll kind of work our way up to Wadapalooza. But what made you walk through the doors at Red Wolf for the first time?
it was from my wife, Ryan. She's been kind of doing her own thing, and I was watching her develop over the months or the years. And I was doing powerlifting at the time, and I got to a point where I was looking for something new, and she said, come in here and do this. And I think we did a challenge where it was like for a pair of shoes, and you guys did a workout where it was like a max back squat and a mile run.
Oh, that was the rad challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was awesome.
And she's like, you just come in and do it. And I'm like, all right, it's got a back squat in it. Why not? So I came in and did like a big back squat, and I didn't know anybody there. So I just came in, like set up next to her. And then after that, we did the mile run, which was kind of a eye opener, because I came and did 500-pound back squat. I'm like, cool, great, this is awesome. And then did like a, I don't know, 12-minute mile or something after that. And I was proud of myself because I didn't stop the entire time, but it was kind of an eye opener being like, it's fun being strong, but if you can't move, then what's the point? And so that kind of stuck with me. And so after the few months after that, I slowly started coming in, like maybe a couple times, maybe a week or once a month or something like that, and kind of started getting more into that nature of trying to develop more endurance. And so I think at the beginning of the year, I kind of just committed to it, and it's been here since.
Yeah, and you've been killing it ever since. Like I know you got super shredded.
Yeah,
by doing this. Like you lost a ton of body fat.
yeah.
Insane.
I was about 220 coming in, and that's the thing about powerlifting is you build mass to move mass. And so we do a lot of muscle, just trying to build as much muscle as possible. But you do develop more weight, more fat and stuff with that. So coming into CrossFit, it was kind of like we still got to move a lot of weight, but we do a lot of the metcons, and my body kind of quickly adapted to that. It was like it wanted that kind of endurance or that kind of movement, and I was able to keep a lot of that same muscle mass, but then lose a lot of that fat just by just doing the classes and doing the endurance and stuff with that. So
Nice.
yeah.
Tell me a bit about your strength. Did you lose a lot of strength, or did you gain a little bit of strength, or did you pretty much stay the same?
It's comparing it to powerlifting, where you're trying to be your strongest at like a meet level, like a competition level. You'd go through like a training camp, or you build up for like 12 weeks to get to that peak. So you're not at your strongest all the time, but when you go to a competition, you're slowly building up to that. So at a regular training with no competition, my strength didn't fall off that much. Maybe I lost maybe 5-10 pounds off my squats, bench, and deadlift.
Oh, that's it? Wow.
Yeah, not much at all. Compared to like a competition level, it's quite a bit more than that, but that's not realistic. You can't go full on out all the time. So I didn't see a huge drop off from strength. And my endurance just was nothing at that point. So now it's like I actually felt like I was able to start running. I cut off 4 minutes off that 12-minute mile like pretty quickly. And then but yeah, I didn't see too much strength loss. A lot more endurance. So yeah. No, it was kind of like one of those things like I was thinking that I was going to sacrifice all these gains that I made, and it just wasn't the case.
Yeah. No, that's insane that you were only off by that much, at least in your training side, which makes sense because when you're a specialist in something, then of course it's unreasonable to think that you wouldn't be really good at that if you're specializing in that. And then when you start tacking on other things, like think of all the other skills that we had to tack on for you to develop for Wadapalooza and just training in general for CrossFit is like you're adding in all these different machines for conditioning, running, gymnastics, other conditioning moves like burpees, double unders, other skills. And so we just added like 100 other things to your plate, and then to still be able to retain a lot of that strength that you built with doing less specialized training towards that is a pretty impressive accomplishment on your end.
Well, it's wasn't that far off from what I was actually already training in. Like your guys' programming has always been, when I walked in here, was like, hey, it was, you guys, we're still squatting. We're still hitting a lot of volume. We're still hitting higher percentages and around your max weight. So the transition from powerlifting over to you guys wasn't that big of a like overtaking. Yeah, you did add a lot of like gymnastics and cardio and stuff. That stuff was very hard, and that was very humbling. But what was nice was, we're still squatting, we're still deadlifting, we're still benching. Maybe add in some Olympic lifts and stuff like that, but that's still kind of that compound movement where you still use a lot of those same muscles and same kind of cues. And so that transition was actually very awesome. It was kind of welcoming, so that it kind of made it very easy to make that transition over. And then after that was just kind of like, all right, now I know I'm going to be bad at this cardio or the bike or the row. So now let's get better at that. Maybe not push the squat as hard as I usually go on it, and try and save some of the things so I can focus on getting better at whatever the skill was on that day.
Yeah. Wow. You mentioned earlier that you did the rad challenge with the back squat and the 1 mile run, and then in between you actually fully committing to joining and just dabbling in with us throughout those months. What was the main thing that was kind of holding you back from just jumping right in the first place?
I still had commitments at my other powerlifting gym. I still, very much enjoyed powerlifting. And I wanted to kind of finish that off before jumping into it. I was kind of pretty much prepared to make that transition over. It's always scary doing new things and taking on new challenges, especially when you've for 6 years have not focused on doing any cardio or doing any kind of metabolic training where you're going to see a lot more high heart rate for a longer period of time. Or, a big thing that I noticed that I never really did was stretching and mobility. So it's kind of like just diving into new territory. So I wanted to kind of ease into it and see this is what I really wanted to do. And then also, because when I do get into it, I go full on commit to it. I don't just like half-ass it in there. I'm like, I'm going to go 5-6 times a week. I'm going to do this as hard as I can, or do it the best that I can, and give it everything that I have. So when it came to that time to switch over, I was fully ready to know exactly what I was going to get myself into.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. Yeah. And I like how you were able to, I like the whole thing of where you're finishing it. Like you started what you finished, and then you're going to fully transition over, and you're not going to dabble in it. You're just, okay, this is good. now I'm doing this, I'm going all in. So, and I think that mentality is so rare these days, because I think people try and do it all, or they want to dabble in things. They don't want to fully commit because, and I think one of the problems is that people have a lot of options. Like there's so many options out there that, and there's so many plan Bs that it's a lot easier when it's like, there's two choices, one or the other. Let's move forward with it.
Yeah.
So no, I love that. Bravo to you.
Cool.
Tell me a little bit where that mindset came from.
I think I've always had a very determined mindset. And when I commit to something, I've always been very good at like finding something that I like and then just sticking to it. I like doing hard things, and I like being bad at things. Not necessarily because I like being bad at it, but I like getting good at things. Right? It's not so much I like the journey. I like the going in and being like, I can't clean or I can't snatch this or I can't do this, but like, how do I get to that point that I can? What processes do I need to figure out to get that? So it's kind of like a puzzle in some kind of weird way. I did that with everything. Like I started off, young with martial arts and stuff like that. And that kind of gave me this good hand-eye coordination development. And so that I can see that I can do these things. And I kind of just applied it to just everything in life. It doesn't necessarily mean fitness, but outside of life, like career and stuff like that. So I get hyper fixated on it, and then I just kind of focus on breaking it down into step by step is like what's going to get me better here, and then just making it simplified, and then going one by one, getting to that end goal. And it stops becoming so much of a to B or A to Z kind of thing. It's like you when you're successful doing one step to the next step, I get that kind of like, hey, I did it. And now let's do the next step. Let's do the next step, do the next step. And you kind of like lose sight of like everything else around. It just becomes the goal becomes less intimidating and more fun, just because you're being successful in just that one step at a time. So, and that kind of, it goes from one hobby to the next, or one challenge to the next. So coming into CrossFit, it's like the perfect thing for that, because you have so many skills and you have so many things that you want to accomplish, but you kind of have to bring it kind of back and just do one thing at a time. And that's like the perfect thing for me, because now I'm never going to get bored with this.
No, I hear you. And that's one of the main reasons why I stick with CrossFit too, is because I've tried to kind of take breaks from it, or I've tried to dabble in other things, and I'm like, dude, I just get bored so fast,
Right?
So easily. Like it doesn't matter if it's like Olympic weightlifting. Did Olympic weightlifting for a year, and I was like, this is really cool, and it helped my CrossFit a ton, which was the end game of that. But I was like, I can't keep doing just snatching, clean and jerk, and pulls and squats, And same thing. I tried to get into more like endurance stuff. I'm just like, man, I'm just not an endurance athlete. I don't have that many hours to spend doing endurance stuff. So I'm like, CrossFit's like the perfect fit for me.
Right. Like I always thought about going back to powerlifting, and then I'm like thinking like, what is that going to look like? Am I going to just sit there in the gym for 2 hours a day, just doing the long sets, doing all that grinding? And it benefited me now in CrossFit because I'm very strong and I can do a lot of stuff with it. But like transitioning from doing metcons and doing these like high activity and aerobic stuff, and where everything's very fast paced, to like this slow, doing a bench, doing a thing, waiting 2-3 minutes for your body to get back to it. Like it's fun doing that, but the pace and the two environments are completely different. And I like having that fast pace. I like having that boom, 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 go from one thing to the thing. You're in it, and then you're focused, and that hour goes by like that, and you're like, feel like you really accomplished something. Whereas in powerlifting, you're kind of like there for the long haul, and you're just gonna grind it out, and it's just it's a different environment. And then going back to it, just I don't think I could do that.
Yeah,
I'm kind of like, I like the adrenaline, you going in the class, being scared of a workout, and kind of figuring your way through it. It's like going for that heavy lift, and like you feel that adrenaline going for that lift, that am I going to make it, am I not going to make it? But you only see that rarely in powerlifting, because you're always at like that 80% and then when you start going for bigger lifts for competitions, that's when you see it. And it's just not enough stimulus for me to keep me like keep me from getting bored.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you on that one. Before powerlifting, did you do anything else? Any other sports? Like I know you mentioned martial arts. Did you do anything else growing up or before that?
No, not really. I did martial arts. I did bowling.
Interesting. I would never take you as a bowler. I
Yeah,
mean, the mustache kind of gives it away, I guess.
I did bowling. Actually got to near professional level doing that. Got a job at a bowling alley, and then ever since then I just started bowling, and then worked my way up into like the pro regional level.
Wow, I did not know that about you.
And
I asked.
I did a couple pro tour stops, like national pro tour stops, like over at Fountain Bowl they would have that, and so I did that a few times, and then bowled some regionals around California. I was good enough to get there, but not good enough to really make money doing it. And it's like a puzzle thing, something I hyperfixated on and we got really good at. And then, but never really got into any kind of team sports or anything like that. After that, got into a band, did the band life for a while, tried to become a rock star. And then it got to a point where that didn't work out. Everybody in the band wanted to be a rock star without doing the work. And then I kind of found myself in a position where, I wasn't working out at the time. The fitness wasn't a big part of my life. And I kind of at that point was like, okay, I need to make a change, like something positive change. Doing an office job the rest of my life isn't going to give me any kind of happiness. So I started going to like a corporate, like I think Fitness 19, I think it was. And then I just kind of started there. And that's kind of where I started doing, like my fitness journey kind of started. But yeah, no team sports, nothing like that.
Wow. I wouldn't take it for that. That's really cool though. The bowling was something that blew my mind. I would not have guessed that in a million years. So thank you for sharing that.
Oh yeah.
What do you do for work?
I'm an electrical engineer.
Okay.
So I'm in an office a lot. I do get to go out on the field and construction sites sometimes, but I'm mostly in the office. So very sedentary. I started drafting in high school and then kind of worked my way through things and started doing, and in college found electrical and started doing that.
Very interesting.
Yeah. So
Awesome.
I've been doing that since.
Let's go back to Fitness 19 when you first joined.
Oh yeah.
Tell me about the beginning of this fitness journey. I just got to know more about it.
Fitness 19 was fun. It's over there on Beach and Garfield, or it's not there anymore, but it was a local gym. It was right next to my engineering office, so it was very easy to get up in the morning and go to there, and then go to the office. I didn't spend any time trying to travel, so it was kind of right there. Started off on the doing the cardio stuff, thinking that if I just do all the cardio stuff, then I can lean down and look the way I want to look. And found out real quick that that's not how that works. I guess you got what people call like skinny fat. Like I had no muscle definition or anything like that. And I'm like, this isn't what I want. And then I started venturing into like, the free weight section. And I just did everything I can find online, do all the bro science, found whatever I can figure out on Instagram and just started doing that. And then I transitioned from there to like 24-hour fitness and got a personal trainer there. And he was a really cool guy, but he was kind of a football. He grew up his whole life in football, so everything was kind of based around football training. So we did a lot of squat, bench, deadlift. Then we did a lot of metcons. I kind of got little dabble in CrossFit then. But most of his stuff was kind of like what you would find in like a football weight room kind of workouts. And then did the whole group training thing with the boot camp stuff. And then at a gym in Irvine, that's where Ryan kind of introduced me to that. And after that, I was like, I need a barbell. So I found my powerlifting gym then, and then been there ever since. It was there for like 6 or 7 years, and just did squat, bench, deadlift, and then all the accessories then, and just all I did was build strength. And that's basically the fitness journey that I've been working out and doing fitness for about like 10 years, 10, 11 years. But yeah, it all kind of started at that fitness 19, doing all the wrong things.
Yeah, I think we all started there. I think we all started on a very similar journey. Like I did the same thing. I think I joined just some regular Globo gym, like $15 a month. Had no idea what I was doing. Just used muscle and fitness magazines and was like, I guess I'm doing this.
The price was right. I remember when the place opened, my dad and I went in before they even opened the place and got like, I think it was $19 a month. And I'm like, that's perfect. We're just going to go and do that. I mean, you can, for $19 a month, you can't beat that. So we did that. And, it was a nice entry into that, but I mean, I remember being there and watching the kids be the trainers and like train people, and I'm like, these people have no idea what they're
You knew it back then when you
like.
and you weren't even into fitness yet.
I'm like, I can figure this out a little bit like better than that.
That's funny.
Like I can find an online program and figure and work my way around it, and I did. I ended up, you know, getting my diet on track. Did the whole bro science thing, did the like, the hypertrophy training and stuff offline, and got pretty lean, built some decent muscle and stuff like that. I was only like I started at like 205 when I unfit, and then I got myself down to about 175,
Oh wow,
but got myself real lean,
that's awesome.
built up a lot of muscle mass, or some decent muscle mass. And so like I said, going back to it, when I get into something, like I go in and I do it right. Like I think that at time I was like, I'm not going to eat anything but Waba Grill. It's just going to be rice and chicken, and I'm not going to drink. I'm not going to do that kind of just anything. I'm just going to focus on getting as shredded as possible, and then see wherever that kind of takes me.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it from Will himself, is that it's not a knowledge problem, it's just an execution problem, which is usually what most people are facing. Because when you think about it, there's an abundance of really good knowledge out there that's available for free. Like YouTube, Google,
Yeah.
GPT. It's like you can get anything you need, but the problem is people will get that information and then they'll do nothing with it.
Yeah, you kind of feel like it's they look at like it's a quick help thing kind of thing. It's not oh, hey, I found this program, it's going to get me jacked immediately. It's like, no, that's not the case. It's going to be whatever you put into it, it's going to how you're going to pay out of it. And I took that real early on, being like, okay, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to put 100% into this. I'm going to go 5 times a week. I'm going to hit my splits. I'm going to get good night's sleep. I'm going to drink water. I'm going to do all those things and see where that takes me, and then make the adjustment after that.
Yeah.
And that's kind of it's been the story since.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. I love how you just flip the switch and you're just like, I'm doing this, I'm doing X, Y, and Z, and focus on the inputs and not the outcome.
Right.
And I think a lot of people do that. They think so much about the end destination when you really think about it. And with fitness, it's like there's going to be no end date, unfortunately.
There is no end date. There's this the next level. I think that's the coolest thing about it is, your views of how you start fitness changes over the years. Like back then, I wanted to look good. I wanted to have this image of myself when I'm in there. And then it quickly changes when you say, oh, it's not going to be like that. My body type isn't that guy's body type or that influencer's body type, and I'm not going to get there. So rather than taking that as a defeat, how am I going to turn this into something positive? And so I started looking more at the numbers versus what I looked like. And that kind of quickly changed, like, okay, I can't hit 135 on the bench, but I want to get 225. How do I get to 225? And then you start figuring out progressive overload, and so then it stops becoming so much about this like end goal, and then it starts becoming about this like performance goal, right? And then once you start kind of figuring that, this week I could only hit that 135 on bench, but next week I'm going to try 145, and you hit that 145, and then it gets like this addicting kind of thing. And then the next week you can't hit 145, then you have to back it off and change something up. So once I started figuring that stuff out, then it got to be less about what I looked like, and then more about what I could do. And then I woke up one day, I'm like, oh man, I'm getting the body that I wanted, because now I'm not worrying about all these aesthetic features or all these aesthetic things I'm trying to accomplish. Now I'm focus on what really matters and putting in the work.
Yeah, it's like it's a good thing that the goalpost moves because this what keeps you engaged. Because if it was easy to get, it would be valuable in the first place.
Exactly.
Right? Like
Right.
I can't I mean, there's a reason why, becoming a brain surgeon is highly valuable because it's very difficult to accomplish.
It's a good way to put that.
Whereas, like, if you don't wake up every morning and like congratulate everybody for breathing,
Right.
that's everyone can do it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. It's not like a participation trophy where everyone gets the same thing. It's whatever you put in for it is what you're going to get out of it.
awesome, awesome. Well, let's take it back to Red Wolf a little bit. Thank you for sharing that background and the insight. It's really cool to hear that whole journey leading up to it, and a lot of people are going to relate to that, including myself, because I have a very similar journey to that as well. Can you describe a moment where you realized that Red Wolf was different?
I think going into it, you have a lot of preconceived notions of what CrossFit is, and working out in a powerlifting gym, you always hear about like what negative connotations is about CrossFit, as you do with a lot of other things and stuff like that. Everyone's so narrow-minded with that kind of stuff. What the cool thing about Red Wolf for me that wasn't that, is kind of what I touched on earlier, was that there's a lot of similarities to it, to what I've already kind of developed and what I knew. Um, but what coming into it, I was used to this really good training and how to build muscle and how to build this way. And I was kind of scared that I was gonna have to abandon that and then go start all over and learn something new. But when going in and learning how you guys program really isn't that far off to what I learned how to do, and it was just applied a little bit differently. I was like, oh no, there's something to this, and now I can still apply what I know to this. And so it kind of just became more of like a molding, do different methodologies into like one. And that's what kind of attracted me, kept me at Red Wolf more, is because now I'm not going to go into a gym. It's just like a copy paste CrossFit workout that's going to go up on the board and you're just going to go and die kind of thing. You guys have a way of having a peaking, or you have a block system where you start here and then you have an ending, but you have a specific type of movements throughout the weeks that you're building to, which is what I was used to. And there's a definite method and a science behind the way you guys program. And I noticing that coming in through the months, the first 3 months, I was like, oh, I understand what they're doing. I see what they're doing here. Now it's not so daunting, but I can see where I can apply stuff to. And that's what kind of kept me there, is like, oh, there's a method to the madness. And this isn't just CrossFit or what I thought CrossFit was. There's real thought into the programming, and that's kind of what I thought was amazing about coming into Red Wolf.
Yeah, and I think that was really well said. And then, I think a lot of people have the same realization that you have, is like, once you see how we design our training protocols and everything, and how we implement everything, and how we have our touch points on every single thing, and then we collect data on that, and then based on that data, we're like, we really need to work on more pulling. We need to work on our pressing.
Yeah.
We need to work on our squats. So, like, for example, we're obviously going back. You already noticed this, but we're obviously going back to all the things we weren't doing
Right.
for Wodapalooza. Like, we're going to be adding in a ton more pressing because we're only doing wall walks. So we're not doing any kind of pressing. So now we're pressing again. We're implementing the back squats. We're going to implement a lunge cycle because there was no lunges in Wodapalooza. So we're going to implement single leg work. And then we're going to avoid wall balls and wall walks and toes to bar. Well, we're still going to do toes to bar, but just not as frequently as we were leading up to the competition, and focus on like ring stuff as well. So, so I appreciate that you can see the progression of that.
Yeah. And also at the beginning of it, you guys make a point of saying, we're going to get good at pull-ups. So we're going to start here, and we're going to start with these types of movements, these types of rep ranges, and we're building up to a specific goal at the end of it. It's not just like, hey, we're going to do grace today. Hey, we're going to do this CrossFit today.
Right.
We're doing 6 weeks of handstand push-ups, and we're going to start with, you can doing pike push-ups, and then you have a goal of having to build up to that.
Yeah.
And that's how you get better at it, is you do the hard stuff, the boring stuff at first, and then you get good at that. And then once you get good at that, then you build up to it. And the beginning of the CrossFit thing, I was thinking that I could just do all the hard stuff first, and it got real. I learned real quick. It's like, oh no, I gotta back all that off, take the ego out of it, and start learning the basics before I can start getting to that point. And being strong, it kind of gives me an advantage of doing those things where I can kind of leapfrog. But when you get into skills and you get into all these other things, like you really, those little minute details is what really builds that clean rep, that good rep at the end. And that programming is like, it's a smart programming. It's a smart way of going about it. That's how going from powerlifting, that's how they programmed there. And I was like, oh, cool. I felt comfortable coming in here being like, oh, these people know what they're doing.
Yeah. No, yeah, thank you for that. And, it's funny that how principles apply across the board. Doesn't matter if it's powerlifting, doesn't matter if it's CrossFit. There's we take the same principles and we develop other methodologies for that. Because even endurance sports, they use the same progressions, but it's just more endurance based.
Right.
And powerlifting same way, Olympic lifting the same way. It's like we use percentages, tempo, we use progressive overload. You can use progressive overload in an endurance setting as well. So this it's nothing new. It's just like, how can we take the basic core principles that we know for a fact works and then implement that into our system and to create our own methodology to train what we're training specifically for.
Yeah, but you'd be surprised that a lot of gyms don't do that,
which is insane. Like, it's not hard to learn this.
Brian, I think had a brief moment where she got a new career and she went to a different gym, and thinking that I'm like, oh, this gym's closer, just go to this CrossFit gym, it's more convenient. And she was like, no, I don't like that gym. I like Red Bull's programming gym. Me ignorant to that point, I'm like, it's CrossFit, right? And it's probably, people say the same thing about powerlifting, but thinking just ignorant of that fact. And she went there and she's like, I can't do it. It's just lazy programming. And she started explaining that to me. I'm like, oh yeah, that's bad. Just go back to Red Bull.
That's funny. Yeah. And that's unfortunate because I don't like seeing that level of effort or lack of effort being put in, because that encompasses all of us. And then, I've struggled going back and forth with this, but my goal has always been to kind of be like a leader and a flagship, be like, this is how you run an affiliate. This is how you run a CrossFit affiliate well. And it's going to take a lot of hard work.
Right.
Because I'm sorry.
You're all in the same boat, right? You put the CrossFit on the logo on the front. You're like, this is CrossFit. This is what people kind of have an idea what's coming into, and you got to have that. You set a standard, and if that standard's not across the board, with all the other gyms, then when one starts this and it gets a bad rep, then everybody else kind of shares that.
Yeah, exactly. I think that goes hand in hand with everything, but it's unfortunate that people have to. Because that's not like, that story is from Ryan is not isolated. That happens all the time. Like, we've had multiple people who've either gone on vacation, or who've had to leave temporarily and then come back, and they're like, man, it's bad out there. Like, bring me inside.
Yeah. Where have I been?
Thank you. But it's also good because it reinforces that what we are doing is for the most part works for pretty much everybody, and everybody's happy with the style that we utilize.
It's very thoughtful.
What results have you seen both physically, mentally, and emotionally at the gym?
Oh, physically is easy. I came at 220 pounds, and I felt strong. I felt fit. It was kind of funny. I have a video from, I think, back in October last year, where I was flexing in front of the mirror at the powerlifting gym. I'm like, man, I look jacked.
Yeah.
I feel huge. And then fast forward now, where I've lost 20 pounds, but I've lost like 10%, body fat. And now I'm like, oh, wow, there's the physical change to that is wildly different. And I was able to keep on a lot of that muscle mass, so I look better now too.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I distinctly remember seeing you with your shirt off, and I was like, man, Will got jacked.
And that's the cool part is, like, I was strong, but I didn't feel like a strong. Like, I always joked, like, I look like I work out, but I never miss a taco party. And then at around that same time, I usually get my blood work done twice a year. And around that same time, I went to my doctor, and she goes, you should, your blood work came back and your cholesterol is really bad, and you should probably start working out. And I look at her like, lady, like, I could squat like 5 of you right now. I could pick you up over my head. I work out 5 times a week. What are you talking about? And she's like, no, you need to start changing it up. And I went back to Ryan and she's like, you got to do CrossFit. You got to come here. And I'm like, all right. So physically, I came in not having that physical aesthetics that I liked, but also internally, I was really having poor health too, because I wasn't eating. I was eating fine. My diet hasn't changed a whole lot from when I was powerlifting. I was pretty good about. I'm like an 80-20% kind of guy where I'm like eating kind of rice and chicken all the time kind of deal. But because I wasn't burning enough fat or doing high heart rate stuff, I couldn't. I wasn't feeling that, and then my cholesterol and all the blood work came back, and it was kind of supporting that same thing. So since coming here, I've changed aesthetically, lost body fat, and then my cholesterol just rebound right back to it. So I get blood work now and everything's just in the green now. So physically, it's like not only look aesthetically, but also internally, everything's kind of running better. It's like my body was actually craving that kind of attention for it. Emotionally, it's fun being a part of the community and being my wife being there and working out with her and having this cool thing that we do together and that we can bond over and then do workouts together and do competitions together. So it's helped out our marriage a lot. And so it has this kind of a great thing for our household. And then Effie being able to see us do that and then taking it, and her seeing us at these competitions and her yelling, you guys are amazing. And, how can you not like love that? And I mean, in confidence wise, it's just builds your confidence from there up. You can't, how do you not like love that? So, it's really kind of helped me out physically, emotionally. Yeah. And once all those things kind of align spiritually, kind of just kind of comes in line with that,
Yeah, well said, well said. And I think a lot of people neglect, especially that part where we talk about community and your daughter and everything, and how we can set a good example. Even if you don't have kids, you can still set a good example for the people around you, and be that healthy example.
Yeah.
And feel good. And the confidence part was huge. Like, I agree with you, because I wasn't really that confident of a person until I started working out.
Same.
Once I started working out, I became more confident. But then once I started CrossFit, that was a whole nother level of confidence. I didn't even know I had any. And then that gave me the confidence to, pursue coaching and then move up in the ladder and then open my own gym. And then from there, just keep going, because now I have the confidence to do that. And that's actually, I wasn't that kind of a person before I started my fitness journey.
Doing competitions. I mean, there's one thing to go work out. There's another thing to go do competitions. Like doing powerlifting and doing that at meets is exhilarating. And then doing it at CrossFit is it's the same competitive nature, but then when you're doing it at such a high level and doing it with such velocity, it's a completely different beast. And it's kind of like jumping out of an airplane. Like the Waterpalooza, like 6 times through that entire weekend, it just felt like stepping up to that airplane.
It really is. Yeah, you're in the door and you're just, someone pushed me out because I'm not going to jump.
Yeah. And I remember being in every time we go out there, like the head coach is trying to crack jokes. And I'm like, I'm not comfortable at this point right now to actually laugh at anything. I feel like my feet are concrete and the adrenaline is just dumping like crazy. And all I need to do is get out there and move right now and like nothing ever, anything like that, but building the confidence to be able to say, hey, I went out there in one of the stiffest competitions out there and survived that. It's huge. That's probably one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. And I can always kind of go back to it. It's kind of like I call it my Death Star. It's like in Star Wars where like Luke blows up this Death Star. It's like everybody needs their own Death Star where they can just go out there and accomplish something like that.
Yeah. That's a great way to put it. And I agree with you that the briefing tent was the worst place, because that was when it's like I'm there, but I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
Like, being corralled, not that bad.
Yeah.
Warm-up area, not that bad. But then once you were in the tent and you were just waiting and they were briefing you were just like, that's when the nerves really started to hit.
Every time the walk out there is like, okay, I can just start breathing, and then you get to that tent area and there's like no air. There's like no.
It was so hard to breathe in there. My heart rate was so high.
It's just, and then you walk out there and you just feel like everything's just concrete in your feet and just. And then as soon as I always all 6 times when we did when that bell or that beep would go, I have this moment where I just feel like I just stood there, and it was like the longest brief and my brain goes, go. And I go, oh yeah. And it's everything kind of like slows down. And then eventually your training kind of kicks into it. And you kind of end up trusting your body and just allowing yourself to just go through the movements and just do what you've done for these last 5 months. And then that part's really cool.
Yeah, it's crazy how the training just kind of kicks over.
Yeah.
How you're kind of like, I kind of forgot what I'm doing.
Right.
When I was standing behind every time, but when I was standing behind the green tape before the beep, I'm like, do I still know how to do this? Like, oh yeah, I'm just doing rope climbs, especially on the last workout where it's rope climbs. I'm like, okay, I'm just doing rope climbs.
Yeah.
And then I remember being super nervous, just like, and it took forever to hear the beep because they were like, stand by.
Oh,
and then it was like, it was just dead silence, no music, no nothing, just dead silence. And then finally, beep. And then that transition, like you said, going from the starting line to the first exercise, you're just like, here we go.
Yeah.
It's like that initial fall out of the plane.
Exactly.
But then once you start, but after you're like your first rep, you're like, the training almost kicks in. It's almost instincts. It's, especially once the pain sets in, you're like, okay, now I'm uncomfortable. This is familiar.
It's almost immediate. And then also, like, I remember being tired but not hurting, and then it just like fighting the exhaustion and not even like feeling my body. I'm like, just do one more rep, and just kind of pushing myself through it all. And I don't, it was almost like trying to going back and reliving through all of it. It's just it's very surreal, just very surreal.
Yeah. No, that was awesome. That was so much fun going out there, supporting you, competing with you.
Oh, and everybody doing it.
Yeah, everybody doing it. That's what made it fun. So many of us did it. It was impossible to watch everybody, but that was also a good problem to have.
Yeah.
But then we all heard about it after, even if we didn't get a chance to watch them, and we could all relate because we did the workout too.
Yeah.
So it was like, that's what made it so much fun. It really brought us all together.
Yeah, coming back to the tent and just everyone just kind of looking through like, oh, they've been through it. That's it.
Yeah. They're back.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's awesome. Great memories. Can't wait to do it again next year.
Yep.
What would you tell someone who's scared to start or feels like that they're not fit enough yet for CrossFit?
I go back to when I was scared to walk into the gym and thinking that everyone's gonna watch you or everyone's gonna like judge you, and everyone starts from somewhere. You don't go in immediately and get good at anything. You have to go in and feel like you don't know what you're doing, and that's okay. Just go in and feel like you're doing, and most people can all relate to that. And because everybody can relate to that, most people will be there to help you get through that. I would say go with a friend. Have someone there that either has been there or is willing to go in there and be goofy or do dumb things. I remember going into the gym and doing all those things and doing that. I still do. I mean, I have videos of me trying to do a handstand walk, and handstand walk for one, but doing a handstand push up for the first time and just telling myself, like, you're going to look funny, but that's okay. Everybody does, and this is where you start, and this is how you get better, and just think how good it's going to feel once you get better at this. And I think my first handstand push up, I ran into the wall.
Yeah.
I like did a running start to get up there because I didn't know how to get up into handstand, and I sent it to Ryan, and she just cracking up laughing. And enjoy those moments. Enjoy looking like a fool, because you're always going to look back at it and be like, oh, look how I was back then, but look how much better I am now. And that feeling right there is infinitely better than just staying in the same spot and just doing the same thing that isn't working, because being stagnant and that's a torturous feeling. So I would say to anybody that's just on the fence of going, is just kind of just dive in and just enjoy the process. Because that's the ultimate goal, is just enjoying the process.
Yeah, I agree with you. That I love how you said that, and the only reason I laugh is because I did literally the exact same thing when I learned handstand push-ups. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna get a running start, and I somersaulted into the wall, and I bounced off the wall, and like I fell like in this weird Picasso position at the bottom like this, just like, you know, it looks like I was in a car accident or something, and people walked by and they're like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "I'm cool. I'm good. I'm good. I'm good."
And
Don't worry about it.
they're all remembering their time that they did that.
Yeah.
I think I was telling myself like, just get upside down. Just figure out how to get upside down.
Yeah.
And I did, and I figured it out. But and then it's the next step. All right, now figure out how to push up. Like, what do you have to do there? And then don't be afraid to ask questions. Find a coach, find someone and be like, hey, I don't know how to do this. What's step one? And then that's what they're there for, is to lead you from step one to step two to step three. And then once you get the confidence to ask the question, you're already there. You know, you're already ready to do it.
Yeah. No.
So.
Yeah. 100%. And then last question before we I can't even speak right now because I'm just thinking about the handstand. Last question before I wrap things up. If Red Wolf disappeared tomorrow, what would you miss the most?
Oh, definitely the community. Coming in here and becoming friends with Parker and Kevin and Shane is kind of what's helped me stay in it and have these goals and figure out how to get better. I've had the opportunity to, and then there's a lot of people at this gym that I would miss. I've had the opportunity to go to all the classes. I started at like the 6 a.m., 5 a.m., but I've had a chance to go to the 9:15, the noon, the 4:30 or 5:30, and I've developed friendships in all of these areas.
Dang, you've collected the whole set.
And it's been a very cool process to be able to do that. And seeing all these familiar faces and then hearing everyone just say hi, it's such a welcoming, it's like a second home. And I mean, losing like your second home is just, it'd just be a giant hole. And it's what kind of keeps you coming back, because you have this opportunity to get better with people. And so when other people are able to triumph and PR, it feels like you're PRing. You're part of that PR because you're part of that community. So
Well said.
you're just you're in it with everybody else, and having that community doing the classes, it's a lot different than when I trained at the powerlifting gym. You're on your own. You come in at your own time, and you develop friendships and people going to the same times and stuff, like just like the class. But you're still kind of on your own kind of track. But doing the classes, you're showing up to it. It's like everybody's kind of gearing up to prepare for it, and how is everyone going to get through it, but you're cheering everybody on, and also at the same time you're also competing with everybody, and so that's fun too. So you're like, oh, Kevin's doing this today, can I keep up with Kevin today?
Yeah. And it's very friendly competition.
Yeah.
Which makes it even more fun.
Exactly. And then also Parker bringing me on and pushing me to do competitions and stuff like that. That was really big, because he's one of the reasons I stayed this long, is because like he got me into that competition mode and kind of broke that ice. Now I'm like, oh yeah, I can do this. Even though I kind of fought it with Ryan, she's like, you're gonna do competition, and I'm like, no, I'm not gonna do anything. Yeah. You're gonna do it, and I'm like, all right, I'll do it.
And then now look at you.
And now I signed up for Wadapalooza, and now signed up for the qualifier
for Miami. Yeah, that's the flagship, man. Yeah. It's not easy.
Yeah. So now I'm prepared and ready to get better, and yeah. So it's a huge community thing. Where it's not just one person. It's a family. So missing that would be huge.
Yeah, I love that, Will. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. I love it, specifically what you said about how if someone PRs, it's like we all PR because we all share it. And I think it comes down to just because we can all relate. We can relate to what it's like to start the journey. We can relate to what it's like to have our speed bumps, but we can also relate to how that feels to hit a new PR. And so we share that with you. And not only that, is that since we are doing, like you said, like the same workout, and we're all in it together at the exact same time, is like afterwards, it's like, man, like just like with the squats and the lunges the other day, it's like we're all looking at each other. It's funny that you bring that up, because there were people coming in and we didn't even say a word. We just looked at each other. We just started laughing. Like we didn't have to say it. We're just like looking at each other, walk around from how sore we are. And we're just laughing without even a word said. That's how relatable it is.
Yeah. Like the fist bumps afterwards, everyone's like exhausted, breathing hard. And it's just like, all right, no words need to be said. We just went through battle, and we're just gonna laugh about it now.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much, Will, for coming on. This was a fantastic podcast. Thank you for sharing your story. You had no idea you were a bowler, so that's something that I'm definitely going to think about for the rest of the day. So, thank you so much for listening. If you want to hear more stories like Will, do us a favor and leave us a 5-star review so we know to make more content just like this. Until next time, good luck, have fun, and nailed it.
Nailed it.